What's up, AfterBuzzers? I'm Jaimi Gray, and this is AfterBuzz's mini spotlight. Now, we've got a special guest in the building, the beautiful, the talented Chantelle Albers. I want to get to know her a little bit more. I'm sure you do too, so stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
All right, mini spotlight time. As you can see, we have Chantelle Albers in the building. All right, so mini spotlight, of course, we're going to get to know a lot about you. And so let's just go ahead and get started.
Right.
So you're not new to the industry. You've been in TV roles, movie roles, horror, indie, sci-fi. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I want to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of start with what you've already been doing. So I see that you've had some roles on Modern Family, right? Mm-hmm. Mob City.
Yeah.
And Suspense.
Yes.
So when I heard about Suspense, so that's actually a revival series. So I was shocked about that. So for those of you that don't know, Suspense actually came out like in the 1950s before, right?
Yeah.
And then they brought it back a few years back, right?
Right. With
So-
Alfred Hitchcock, I think, was
Yeah,
the original one.
That's right. And so when I saw it, I was like, she's doing a lot of different genres. Now I can tell you're really into horror, but going for like Modern Family shows, then, you got like the detective crime mob going on like from the 1940s with Mob City, and then, Suspense. So I think you kind of like the horror films. Am I right about that?
I do like the horror films a
Yeah.
little bit, and the thrillers too, but
Yeah.
as an actor, I kind of like to paint all over the canvas, and I love comedy, I love horror. I always think that horror and comedy always go well together too, it seems like. There's always elements of both in each.
Yeah,
So.
they can, and it's funny because sometimes horror and comedy, they can either get good reputations or bad reputations depending on the
Yes.
fan that you ask, and so that's why you want to ask the right people. So I'm really happy that we have you here because again, with your films, let's talk about it. The Sixth Friend.
Yeah.
So that already came out. Looks like it was released domestically, and it's also featured video on demand. You can access it on Google Play, YouTube, Fandango, the whole bit, and Amazon Prime as well.
Yeah.
So you can access it there. You can rent it or purchase it. So tell me about it. I saw the trailer. I'm really, it's if you guys are into like the slasher genre, it's going to be maybe a little gore.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a little gore, but
Yeah.
honestly, what we were going for with The Sixth Friend is something that was gory, but not like torture kills or anything. We kind of wanted it to be quick and make it more about the relationship of the girls and the chase and where is he and the mystery of who is
Right.
behind the mask. So
Right. And I'm like, okay, you got 6 friends, college friends, in a cabin in the woods. And I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go.
Yeah.
But I saw on the trailer, it said, all are doomed except one who knows a secret.
yes.
So what is, I'm like, what does that even mean? Because it's like,
Well, it's funny. We do have a surprise at the end, or what we are hoping is
Okay.
a surprise, and a lot of people have been surprised, and then some people are like, I kind of suspected that was going to happen, but
okay.
I don't know. Towards the end, you find out who knows that actual secret and what actually happened
Right.
the 5 years previous in the story. So
And your character is Melissa.
Melissa White, yeah,
Tell me a little bit about your character. What's she like?
she is a lot of fun to play.
Okay, okay.
Not
Why?
someone that I would want to be in real life, though.
Yeah.
She's very sort of self-absorbed,
Okay.
and is a lot of fun, though. Can talk your ear off. Is very giving, but she's always got something behind her back, sort of. So as an actor, that's a lot of fun to play.
yeah.
There's layers, and there's like that psychology of those types of people, but. Like I said, I wouldn't want to really run into her or be a friend
Right.
with her, but
No, I
Yeah.
feel you on that. So I actually did take a look at some reviews. So again, you can find this on Amazon Prime. So one of the reviews, Lori Valdez says, let me clear my throat.
Yeah.
She said, made the mistake of watching this by myself at night. What was she thinking? Don't make that mistake too. This is seriously creepy and scary. Gee, you think? The slasher subgenre has, usually typically it does have some duds, right? And she's not talking about this movie, but she says this one has some really new and unique situations that I have never seen before.
Yeah.
So I like hearing that because a lot of times when we're looking at horror, a lot of times sometimes we either see similar stories or we think we know what the ending is going to be. And so that excites me just from seeing the trailer, seeing this review, saying that she's seen some new different things. What do you say about that review? Do you agree?
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we were going for, was to do
Good.
something a little bit different, because horror, there's a lot of great horror movies out there, but you're always looking for new content, and it's like, okay, well, this movie did this, what can we do that's a little bit different, that'll be more surprising or entertaining with it?
Right.
And one thing that's just really taken off within the last couple of years is the movie is so heavy female driven. It's female directed, female written, produced, and has a female main cast. So, and it features strong female characters where they're not waiting for a man to save them.
There we
They're
go.
about saving themselves. They're like, okay, guys, let's do it. Like,
Yeah.
they band together and they're like, let's save our own selves. And
Good. See,
Yeah.
I like that teamwork. And again, the future is female. Like, we're just
Yeah.
out here, you know, we're taking on the roles. We kill people if we have to, whatever we have to do.
yeah, self-defense. It's self-defense.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Okay, so as far as this film, sometimes I think actors you can get really into your role. Did you ever find yourself actually scared when you were acting, or were you just kind of like, whatever, it's a role? Like, did you ever find yourself actually scared in some of those scenes?
When we were filming, no,
Yeah.
I didn't really find myself getting scared. And I think it's just there's so many people around. Everybody's waiting for lunch.
Right, you're like, okay, let me get this scene over. My stomach is growling. That's not, you know,
Yeah.
a monster. It's my stomach. Gotcha.
So, and I'm, yeah, it's just there's a lot of people around, and it's all about putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
Mentally, but then physically you're not really there. So,
Right.
No, I didn't get scared on set.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. She's
Even-
she's a strong woman. She's like, I got this. It's nothing. Okay, got it. I probably would have been the one scared. Like, oh, sorry. Okay, scene.
What would be scary is if like some doors started opening at night or if something, you know, but like
Right.
in this scene, you know, it's fake, but then
So
I don't
nothing
know.
haunted you. Okay.
Nothing haunted, yeah, but I don't know. I've heard of people like doing horror movies before where they're filming on location, and during the scene everything's fine and going well, and then at night they're like, wait, what was that? Was somebody walking up the stairs?
Right.
Or
So you get all paranoid.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that. Okay. Well, as a fan and just to viewers out there, why should we go see this film? Why? What's the why of it?
The why of the film, I would say, is to inspire females.
Okay.
It does feature a lot of strong females. And it features them in a way where they can save themselves and where they can be strong women and not rely on a man to save them, essentially. And they're intelligent, too. Like I said, we wanted to go for more of the chase and the relationship rather than making it super gory and bloody. We've
Yeah.
got some gore and blood in there for the horror
For those
fans.
that
It's
like
not
that.
super clean, but we did want to keep it more, just more in that horror thriller genre.
Gotcha.
So-
Noted. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to pick your brain a little bit. So I can tell you're into horror, maybe thriller a little bit too.
Yeah.
Do you have a movie, maybe one that you've done or one that you've just seen on your own? What is like a favorite of yours? Like for me, when I say I love horror thriller films, I love Skeleton Key.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my, it's classic. Like, I'm like, people need to see it, okay? That's a good one. Orphan.
Yeah.
And a funny one where I love how you mentioned comedy and horror is, some people don't think it's a good movie, but Drag Me to Hell. It's so like funny yet bad that it's good. So that's one
Yeah.
those are some of mine. But what about you?
Well, it's funny. I think I've mentioned this before, where it's a movie called Panic in Needle Park.
Okay.
And
okay.
it's one of Al Pacino's first movies. So it was one he
Wow.
did before The Godfather. It's not really a horror per se. It's more of
Right.
a drama, thriller maybe. But that movie has always stuck with me. And whenever somebody says, like, what's a really good film you like, I love that movie. And, you know, Al Pacino just makes the movie
He's
amazing.
great.
But
Yeah.
he plays a drug addict in it. And so it takes place in New York City, where he's actually a heroin addict.
Okay.
And during a certain time of the year, the supply runs low and everybody panics and rats on each other. And so he ends up getting ratted on and goes to jail, but then he fell in love with this woman, and at the end of the movie, she was the one that ratted on him, but when he comes out of jail, there she is standing there, and it's just this awesome shot where he just walks right by her, and they're just silent. He's just like walking
Yeah.
towards the camera, and she's behind him, and it's almost like they're a drug to each other too. So that's what I kind of liked. It was like an addiction to people as well as
Yeah.
you know,
I like that you
substance.
mentioned that because every time people think of Al Pacino, they think of Scarface.
Yeah.
But he was also in Devil's Advocate. That's a good one too, and that one's kind of like more thriller suspense, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, speaking of those, so those genres, horror genres, you've also been in Condemned,
Yeah.
Axeman, Turquoise. Let's see.
Yeah.
Now those are more horror. Now, as far as like some of the indie films, Reawakened.
Yeah.
You know, and then I also hear you have some sci-fi projects that you've worked on, like The Desert, and you told me Waiting.
Yeah.
So that's not even like half of it. Okay, so this woman is booked and busy. But out of the ones that I mentioned, tell me about one of them. Which one kind of stood out the most to you?
You know, I really did like working on The Desert. That was a
Okay.
really fun one. And again, it features a strong female lead.
Yeah.
My character of Martha was the lead of the film, and she sort of plays like this feminist heroine,
Okay.
where it takes place in like the future a little bit, but it has that retro feel to it. So it's kind of inspired by the 1950 melodramas.
Okay.
And yeah, my son actually is in this imagination chamber. And he's in there for psychological reasons,
Okay.
basically, and it's supposed to be like this treatment. So new age treatment, I guess.
Okay.
And I end up breaking into this imagination chamber where he is, and I go into his world, which is this desert. And me going in there, it sort of breaks open the two worlds, and so the desert comes into our house as well, as this cowboy that was in the desert. So characters are going in and out of the worlds, and I kind of wreak havoc on it, but
That
in the
sounds
end, I have to
amazing.
do some pretty destructive things to end it. So,
By any means necessary.
yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
burned the house down.
Oh, okay, arson.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and I like that you always are talking. Well, from what I can tell, you're talking about a lot of feminine, strong energy.
Yeah.
You know, as far as some of the roles that you've played, and you know, a lot of the situations. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see here. You also were telling me about a play. Now, I love a good play and I love a good musical. So I think that's great because actors, it all starts at the stage,
Yeah.
right? Or at, you know, as I like to think. But it is called Their Finest Hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so you play Pamela Churchill. So it's gonna be Winston Churchill's goddaughter.
Daughter-in-law.
Daughter-in-law. I almost
Yeah.
had it. Okay,
Yeah.
tell me about her.
Well, she, being a historical character, it's funny, she actually worked side by side with Winston.
Okay.
But she was written out of a lot of the history books and a lot of the textbooks.
Of course she was.
In The Darkest Hour, she wasn't mentioned, but she was Randolph Churchill's wife.
Okay.
And they did end up getting a divorce, and she ended up marrying Averil Harriman, and that's the man that she died with. But in this play, it studies the relationship between Winston Churchill and his relationship with Edward R. Murrow, who was reporting live from London for the BBC News for America. And Pamela ended up having an affair with him and falling in love with him while she was married to Randolph. And
Wow.
everybody knew about it. It was this big scandal. But in the end, he did, Edward R. Murrow ended up going back to his wife, and Pamela had to kind of pick up the pieces and move on and find somebody new, which she did. But she later in life, in real life, the actual woman, she went on to be to work with Bill Clinton and to be his U.S. ambassador to France.
Okay.
So she got into politics, and she was side by side with some really
Right.
powerful people in America.
My head
Yeah.
kind of went into the gutter a little bit because I heard Bill Clinton, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you just kind of start thinking about all the scandals, but we won't even go there. It's okay. But again, the play is called Their Finest Hour. So stage versus being, you know, on set, you know, with your films, do you prefer one over the other, or do you kind of want to combine them more?
Oh, that's kind of hard to say. I love doing both. I started off doing theater. So I started
Okay.
off doing theater when I was about 7, and then I
Okay.
started doing film in my 20s, actually. So I have a love for both, and it's such a
tough.
toss-up, man.
Yeah.
It's really like I need both.
Well, then maybe does one
But-
excite you more as far as like being on the stage, you know, and you're, you're with the audience and this, you know, the crowd is cheering versus when
Yeah.
you're on set and it's just all the action packed and, you know, does one maybe excite you more?
I think maybe theater does excite me
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, and it's like
I don't
every
want to
night.
admit that, but
Yeah.
it is like great. It's just you develop such a close relationship with the director and the cast and the writers and everyone involved, and you're like really working on something for months at a time before you even open a show, or
Right.
or weeks at a time before you even open a show. So there is just something really special and magical about living in that world from beginning to end versus bouncing all over like you do with film.
Exactly.
And doing jump cuts, so.
Right, because like once you're done with that character, it's like kind of wipe your hands clean. It's, you know, you're done. Whereas theater, it's kind of
Yeah, you
every
live
night.
in it more, and it's just a different style.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
I like that. Now also, again, like I said, she's booked and busy, so it's a lot that she's doing, okay? But you also just wrapped up filming Promises.
Yes.
Please tell us about that.
Well, that's a lot of fun because that's one of the first films that I get to sing in. So.
Oh, you got the singing chops.
Yeah.
Oh, I might want to hear you like sing me a little note. I don't know. We can have a little contest.
Yeah, because you did musical theater too.
I
you
did.
said.
I did. I was one of those people with the tap dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was in The Wiz. I was in The Wizard of
Yes,
Oz.
we have a lot in common, as you can tell. So yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so Promises. So you play a singer who finds out that I don't want to spoil it, but tell me what you feel comfortable saying.
Yeah, well, we find out that my daughter is actually sick in the hospital, and she has a lot of medical bills that my character is unable to pay for, which is quite common, I think, in today's society. It's getting a little bit better with healthcare, but there's still a lot of those issues that go on. So the story unfolds, and you sort of see how far a mother is willing to go to save her child and to pay for the care of her. So, but it starts off with me singing a gig in this cafe and my guitar, and it's acoustic. So
yeah, and then Mama Cub comes out, or Mama Bear comes out because someone's messing with her cub. I get it. Okay, that sounds exciting. So I like that she's very multi-talented, horror, sci-fi, and indie films, and of course you've been in TV shows and Promises. So you have you're very eclectic, style. You're very talented. So I hate to wrap it up because again we have so much in common. I want to talk to you about so much more, but I really enjoyed having you here.
Me too.
Is there anything else that you want to tell fans about? Anything else that we should expect from you in the near future?
Well, I am going to be producing another feature again in about 4 months. I'm not able to talk about the story or anything in it, but yeah, I've kind of got the producing bug. I like putting projects together and creating it from the ground up. There's something really, I don't know, creative. I like having that creative say in the project in it. So
I see. I like that. Well, you guys, that wraps it up. Again, our mini spotlight series. Make sure to always check out our other ones. But Chantelle, it was amazing to talk to you. Now, before we go, tell people where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me under my name, Chantelle Albers, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I almost said Facegram.
That works. Go for it.
You know.
Okay. All right, and guys, I am Jaimi Gray, your host, the one and only Jaimi Gray. You can find me on, see, I'm stuttering too. You can find me on Twitter at It's Jaimi Gray or on Instagram at Jaimi Gray. That is our mini spotlight, and thank you so much for joining us today. Bye.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.